Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you are welcome, and to my returning subscribers, thank you so much. So in today's video, we are going to be making this beautiful dress on your screen right now. So if this is what interests you, please keep on watching. So for this tutorial, I'll be making use of this pattern paper. So I'm going ahead now to draw out my starting line. For the neck width of this dress, I'm marking 3 inches. From my starting line, I mark 3 inches for my neck width. And I'm coming down by the same 3 inches for my neck depth. So after marking it, I'm going ahead right now to connect my lines. I'm going ahead right now to take my shoulder measurements, and the shoulder measurements I'm using for this dress is 8 inches. So from these 8 inches, I will be taking the length of my sleeve, and the length of the sleeve for this dress is 12 inches. So go ahead and take your sleeve length measurement. You can do 10 inches or 11 inches, but I think the longer it is, the better, because of the drawstring that will be attaching on this dress. After marking out my sleeve length, I'm going to come down from the place that I marked. I'll come down by 1 inch for our shoulder slope, and I'll connect it to meet my neckline, and I'll be doing so in a slanty way, just like you see me doing. So I'll be taking my body measurements right now, and from my starting line, I'll be taking my bust line, and my bust line is 10.5 inches. So I've gone ahead to mark my 10.5 inches. I'll also go ahead and mark my under bust. So the next line that I marked is my waistline. So I'm going ahead right now to label it so that we can see what I am doing. From this waistline, I'm coming down by 4 inches for the waist bag. So I'll also go ahead and mark my line. So let's just go ahead and label this full length. So for the length of my sleeve, I'm going to be using this my bust line as the length of my sleeve. So I'm going ahead right now to connect what I have at my shoulder line. I will bring it down to my bust line, just like you see me doing. This dress does not really require the bust measurements. Going ahead now to take our under bust measurements, and whatever I have at my shoulder line, I'm going to minus 4 inches from whatever I have at my shoulder line, and I will go ahead and mark it on my under bust line. So whatever you have at your shoulder line, minus 4 inches and mark it on your under bust line. So after that, I will go ahead now to take my under bust measurements, and I will mark it like so. And I'll as well take my waistline measurements and mark it also, and my full length. And at this full length, I divided my hip into 4, and whatever I got, that is what I use for the full length of this dress, like that place that I mark my full length. I'll go ahead now to connect my lines. This dress have 3 sections. It has from the shoulder to the under bust, and from the under bust to the full length. Then from the full length to now the gathers. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Let me just cut it out so that we can see the clear picture of what we are doing. Please don't forget the full length I'm talking about here is the 4 inches that we came down by, not the real full length. I mean the 4 inches that we came down by for our waist bags. So after cutting it out, this is what I have. I'll go ahead now to adjust the neckline. For my front neckline, I'm using my under bust as the depth of the front neckline. So I'll go ahead now to mark out my lines like so. So this is my front neck depth. So I'll go ahead now to mark for my back neck depth, and I'll be using my bust line for my back neck depth. I just hope I'm making sense. I hope you are understanding what I'm trying to say. So now this is what our back neck depth is looking like. So we have the front neck depth and the back neck depth. So I'll go ahead now to cut it out. After cutting out the back neck depth, I am going ahead to cut it out on my fabric, and after that I'll use the same pattern to now cut out my front neck depth. So for these bags, I'm coming up by 2 inches and I'm going to curve it to meet with the normal line. Like, I don't want it to be too sharp at that area, so I'm going to just blend it in, like give it a curve at the side like this. So I've gone ahead to cut out my back on my fabric. So when cutting this thing out, I added half an inch at the sides like this, and from that my bust line to my under bust, I added 1 inch for my zipper allowance. Then at this shoulder line, I added 1 inch for our drawstring. Then by the sides, I also added half an inch. So for this up, I just added 1 inch for the shoulder line and the bust line to my under bust. And in other areas, I just added half inch. And for my waist bags, I added half an inch at this top area, then the sides half inch. It is only at this waistline to my full length that I added 1 inch, and this is for my zip allowance. On this my waistline, I'm coming in by half an inch and I'll be connecting it like so, and this is just to eliminate zipper bulge from this dress. So the 1 inch that I added from the bust line, under bust, waistline and full length is for my zip allowance, and other places I just added half inch. So after cutting it out, this is what our back waistline is looking like. So I'll go ahead now to cut out my front, like the neckline of the front. I'll go ahead now to cut it out, and I'll also transfer it on my fabric. So by the sides, I added half inches. It is only at the top area that I added 1 inch. For the drawstring at the shoulder line, I also did same at the waistline as well. I added half inch all around. So this is what my waistline is looking like. My waistline, I have 1 piece for my waistline, unlike the back that I have 2 pieces. So for this waistline of my front piece, I have just 1 for my backs. So I've gone ahead to attach this hairstay on my front and back waistline. So I'll be making use of this hairstay, and it is lighter than the normal gum stay. So this is what I have available, so I'm making use of it. But if you have gum stay, that is very okay. So I've gone ahead to attach my hairstay on the fabric for my waistline. I also cut out lining for it, both for the front and the back. So we'll start working on the front piece. I have also gone ahead to cut out the facing, and I cut 1.5 inches for the boats, and I'll be using it to turn my neckline. I'll be placing it front side facing front, and I will stitch it with half an inch. And after that, I'll use my hemming gum to hold it at the back so that I will have a very good finishing. So after that, this is what I have. As you can see, it is very neat. I'll go ahead now to join my front. So for the placement of these front parts, I'm going to be overlapping them with 2 inches. So I'll go ahead now to mark my 2 inches, and I'll place the other parts on the 2 inches that I have marked out. So I'm going ahead now to secure it with my pin. So I'm going ahead now to minus the 1 inch that we are going to use for our shoulder drawstring, because I want to know if the length, if the depth of this neckline is very okay for me, because I don't want it to be very revealing. So I will go ahead now to place my tape at that 1 inch, and I will check what I have at the opening, and what I have is very okay. So I'm going ahead now to run a very loose stitch at this down part for my gathers. After the gathers, I'll go ahead to notch the center part of this my front piece, and I'll do the same on my waist bags. After that, I'll go ahead and place it front side facing front, and I will stitch it together. After stitching it down, this is what my front piece is looking like. I'll be going ahead to cover the rough part with my lining, and this is how I'll be placing it, and I will sew it down like so. Please don't forget to notch the center of your lining. So this is what it's looking like, and as you can see, we have covered up the rough edges. So I'll go ahead now to work on my back piece. So for the back, I have already cut out my straps. I also use 1.5 inches for these straps, and I'll be using it to turn the neckline of my back piece, just like I did to the front. So after turning it, I have also gone ahead to iron it with the gum stay, and I'll be attaching the waistline just as I did for the front. I will simply be repeating everything I did to the front piece. I'll be repeating it on this back piece as well. I'll go ahead now to stitch down these two, and of course I will also use my lining to cover the rough edges just as I did for the front. So after stitching it down, this is what I have, and I have also used my lining to cover the rough patches, and it is looking so neat. I'll go ahead now to join my back piece and my front piece on the shoulder line. I'll be attaching them with 1 inch. I am done joining the shoulders, and this is what I have. So right now I'm going to fold it a little just to have a nice finishing. I'm going to just fold it a little by the side like so, and I will sew it down. I will do the same on the other side, and with this I have created a casing that I will pass in my rope. After sewing it down, this is what I have for the both shoulders. I have also gone ahead to make my ropes. I have 4 pieces of this, and I use 1 inch for this rope. So I'm going ahead now to insert it through this casing that I have created. So when I got to this end, I noticed that I have already closed up this place. So what I'm going to do right now is to take my scissors and open it a little. So I'll just be picking one of my fabric. I will not cut it in a way that it will be open on the right side. The opening is just going to be inside. So I'm just taking one of the fabric, and I will just make a small opening so I can be able to pass out my rope. After sewing my ropes down, this is what I have, and the holes that I created is really not bad. So this is what my shoulder is looking like right now. I'll go ahead now to close up my sides, and after that I'll start working on the down parts. For my gathers, I folded my fabric into 4. I'm using just 2 yards for these gathers. So if you want your own to be fuller, you can make use of 3 inches or 3.5 inches if you want it to be very full. I'll go ahead now to notch these ends and the center points. I'll go ahead as well to come down by 1 inch at this center fold, and I will curve it out just like you see me doing. And this will help to match with the curve that we have already created on the upper part of this dress for the Basque waistline. I'll go ahead and notch it again. I'll bring my upper part, and I'll also notch the center. I have gone ahead to run a loose stitch on this down part for my gathers. I will now bring in my upper part and align it on the places that I notched just like you see me doing, and I will sew it down. After sewing it down, this is what we have. So I'll go ahead now to attach my zip. We are almost done with this tutorial, and I just want to use this opportunity to say a very big thank you to you all guys. We just hit 1,000 plus on YouTube, so I just want to say a very big thank you. I'm not taking this for granted. I'm marking the place that my zip is going to stop. So from this place that I just marked, I'm going to sew it all the way down with 1 inch, and I will go ahead and attach my zip and fold up the part, and I will show you guys the finished look. This is the finished look of this dress, and I am so loving this. So please, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit on that subscribe button and join this amazing family. I also added a slit by the side just to add a little spice. Please do well to let me know what you think in the comment section. If you have any question, just drop it in the comment section, and of course I will be glad to answer it. We have come to the end of this tutorial, and of course I will see you in the next video. Bye.